We're back on the bank at Rutland Water, a bit earlier than I planned. I've been doing an awful lot of scouting in the last couple of weeks, trying to think where the fish might come in and feed. And about 4 or 5 days ago, I was down here at Old Hall and I noticed the swans were feeding on the weed. Now that's going to be a good thing, because what it's going to do is effectively churn up the weed in the fry and get the fish maybe interested in feeding. Now I've already had a fish here. When I wasn't filming, I had to get my wife and my mother to go and get my cameras and bring them down so I could hopefully catch a fish on film tonight. I've had two. I had one on the very first cast. I saw a fish moving and then cast right in front of it, and it took straight away. It took me right down to the back end on my new Hardy ultralight rod and ultralight reel, which was fabulous. And now I've switched to my 9-foot 5-weight Hardy Wraith. I've got two new rods. I decided in the break between bank fishing and the boat doldrums that came on in Rutland to have a little break. I fished at Draycote and Grafham, and I've been just wondering when the fish would come on the fry, thinking it would be September. It's actually now August 18th, which is a bit earlier than I would have thought, but I did a scouting trip here earlier in the week and I saw an awful lot of fry in the margins. It was absolutely packed filled with fry. And then I've been fishing all over the peninsula, not really thinking about catching fish, just trying to find the spots where the fish might come when they start feeding on the fry. And this is one of the spots that I thought might have some promise, but I thought it was a bit far up, a bit far away from the main basin where the fish had been hiding. When the cloud cover appears, the fish seem to have come on. Now the first fish took because I put the fly right in front of the fish as it was moving up the bank. The second one I caught blind. I was just fishing in this area. There seems to be a gap between the weed banks, and I'm trying to throw the fly into the gap, thinking that the fish might be cruising in this clearer water in between the two weed banks, and that seems to have been the case. For those of you who gave me tips, they both worked. The first one was static fly just thrown right in front of the fish, so thanks to Craig and Ian Barr for that tip. And then the second one was Paul Cramp. Basically I gave the fly a yank, let it sit, gave it another yank, and then did a little bit of figure of eight. So I think both techniques have worked so far. Now it'd just be nice if we can get one on camera, but if I don't really mind. I've got the photographic evidence, and the chap down the bank saw me catch both fish. So this Hardy Wraith is a fabulous rod. It's only a 5-weight, but it packs a hell of a punch, and I can throw a 5-line weight out in this wind without any problem whatsoever. This was the first of the rods that I bought, and it's an absolute tremendous rod. It's very lightweight but absolutely packed with power. I would just like the fish to come back on the feed again. Oh, and there's the chap down the bank. I've given him the exact same fly that I've been using, so fingers crossed that he can get one too. I'm having to wait a little bit because I want to get, the fish seem to be just on the other side of the weed bank, but later on I might come out of the water because I think they may come in a little bit. We're getting a bit of cloud cover now, which is what I was hoping for. I think the fish are going to be all the way up this bay. The swans have been feeding on this weed all week, and I think they've churned up a lot of food. I've heard that the fish have been feeding on snails primarily, not so much really hard on the fry yet. This is a new line as well. This is a snow bee. The line is a 5, 6 and 7 weight, and the weight varies depending on how much of the shooting head you let out. On this Hardy Wraith, I can probably use it as a 7 weight because this rod is just so powerful, it's ridiculous. I've had one fish on this rod on camera so far. I've actually had 4 on the rod, but that was at Draycote, not Rutland. Now I think the fish are moving up and down the weed bed. The last fish that I saw, that I cast to, I saw the head and tail rise before it actually came in and fed. It's a beautiful evening. The wind's a bit gusty, but in Old Hall here there seems to be a little bit of shelter. Now I'm just letting that fly sit because I know where the weed bed is, and that's probably where my best chance of getting cruising fish is. Oh, there's a fish really close to the fly. It's within about 6 feet Now we didn't get that one, and I ended up chatting. Well, I don't mind sharing what I'm using. I guess we're really just waiting for the fish to come cruising. I think they're gonna, as the other places I've fished, they're gonna be coming round in circles, and we've just got to hopefully intercept a fish when they're in the feeding mood. If they're not, there's nothing we can do about it. At least we've got the first fry feeding fish of the season, 2. I tried to film the second one, but pressed the photograph button on the camera, so I don't know if I even got a picture of it. I felt like a complete idiot. But it is typical. Reminds me of Green Bank. I can catch fish until I get the camera out. As soon as I start filming, everything starts to go a bit skew with. I think it might get a little bit stiller tonight as well, and that's nice because you can kind of see the fish a little bit easier. There's a bit of wave because the wind is quite gusty today, and I think that kind of hides the fish. You can't see them as well. It's harder to see the head and tailing of the fish. The 2 takes I've had have been quite ferocious. The first one nearly ripped the rod out of my hand, and then proceededly to take me right down to the backing, and it actually took out most of the backing. I had to put the tension up really, really tight to stop it getting down to the reel itself, which has never happened before. And it's not a massive fish. Right, there's a fish. I've seen one further out. Oh, there it is. Oh, there's a shoal, but they're quite far out. Oh, they're coming back, they're coming back. They might have seen the fly. Oh, there's a whole lot of them here. Oh, there's a shoal right in front of me. It didn't take, but I don't know if you could see them on camera, but there was fish boiling all around that area. So they are here, but they are coming round in pods. Didn't turn one of them, but that was a whole group of fish, because I saw one and then I saw another. I thought one was miles far out, but then the rest were a lot closer in. I'm also casting left-handed because this wind's coming across a little bit, and I'm finding I can cast quite comfortably left-handed if I need to, if the wind's getting a bit squally. I think they must be feeding in shoals. Apologies if that wind is a bit distracting. It is very gusty today. I think the gusts are going up to 25 miles an hour. That was a really good left-handed cast. When I used to go salmon fishing, and when you go salmon fishing, you have to learn to cast right-handed and left-handed. You have to be able to do a single spey and a double spey, right-handed and left-handed, because you are at the mercy of the direction of the river and the wind. So you have to learn to be ambidextrous casting. And it's slightly easier with a double-handed rod, but one of the reasons I wanted to go for these fast-action rods was to see if I could master casting with both hands. And with this Wraith, I can really throw a great line out left-handed, which is a real advantage. Oh! That fish was following! Yes! Oh! That fish, there was a bow wave behind the fly, but it didn't quite take, but it followed. Excellent. That shows they're still here. And they're still interested. And I think that was a left-handed cast as well. That fish followed. Some people were saying on Facebook that that's kind of what you see. You see this big bow wave behind the fly, and that's what happened there. It didn't take, but at least it's some action. And maybe I pulled it back too quick. I should have maybe let it sit in front of the fish a little bit longer. I was maybe a little bit too anxious. But it shows they're here and they're still interested. I think that one came up and grabbed the fly when it was static, and then as I moved it, it started to fall a bit. Maybe I've been fishing here for a little while and it's been the same fly, so they've maybe seen it a couple of times. I might actually switch the fly and see if changing the fly to another pattern generates more interest. Oh, there's a fish there near the fly. That is really near where that fly is. I'm going to pull it back a bit. Now I'll pop that fly right where that fish is. It's exciting. I'm obviously a recent convert to this dry fly fishing, but I really do like the kind of visual aspect of it, that you can see the take, so it's so visual. Right, I've had a fish on that fly. So I'm switching to this, which is a kind of silver fry imitation. The word is going to be out that there's fish in this area, so I don't think we can keep Old Hall secret for much longer. Not there's much to keep secret. I mean, this is one of the classic spots. Oh, there's a fish. Literally just straight down from me. Because up there, it's there. Fish is there. I need to go this way. Put it in front of them. Now, they didn't look at that one. They obviously don't like the look of that fly. I'll try one more cast with this fly and I'm going to go back to one of the more floating fry patterns, because that fly has been in the vicinity of quite a few fish now and they haven't taken it. Look at that fish. That fish is right in front of me. I probably don't even need to wade. That fish is literally about 3 rod. Oh, it's there again. Can you see that fish? It's about 3 rod lengths out. Oh, there's a fish. Now that's to the left of my fly. Now I can intercept this one. It's a bit further out, but I can intercept it. I can see where it's going. They're feeding on something in there. I wonder if it's snails. Oh, the chap down the bottom. Ah, excellent. The chap down there's into one. So I'm putting the fly on that I gave him. Those are big fish. But they're heading and tailing. Those fish aren't feeding on fry. I think they're feeding on snails. And that's maybe why that big imitation worked, because oh, that's a big fish. So we have got a fish on camera. The chap down the bank is in, and I actually gave him the fly he's using. Actually, he didn't have the fly, so I gave him my backup fly for the fly that I caught my fish on. If I lose it, I'll be down there in a hurry. Which I think they are. They're probably alternating between fry and snails. This thing should definitely get their attention. I'm casting right at this fish. That's right on top of it. That's right on top of that fish. Oh, it's at the fly. It hasn't taken it. Oh, God. This is so that fish came up and had a look. Oh, this is tremendous fun. Never took though. I put that right on top of the fish. which really is an angle. That's as much as you can possibly do. Right in front of where those fish are. Oh, look at that fish, right in front of me. They're right in that vicinity, and that fish was moving to the right. Those fish are not looking up. They're looking down. They're feeding down the way. There's another one. Cast left-handed. They're all around here. It's so typical of Rutland though. And I've said this before, it's like a light switch. The fish will switch off and on, and you've got no idea why it happens, but you've just got to be there when it happens to be ready to take advantage of it. It's gone incredibly quiet. The fish are nowhere near as active as they were earlier on. Now every kind of book says that as it gets nearer to dark, you think the fish, that's when they're supposed to come on. That doesn't seem to be the case. Maybe we're just, coming down at 5 o'clock was just being in the right place at the right time. There's one in the vicinity of my fly. Needs to come in a little bit, but it's in the area.
That's a nice size to find one.
Yeah. I think the swans have been feeding down there all week, so I've got to believe they've been kind of kicking stuff up. So. Oh! I was talking to you. Too busy talking. It came back again. Yeah, again, I was looking over there, chatting to the chap, rather than looking at my fly. Right now, that has landed just where I saw a fish moving. And that was a left-handed cast, so that was a really good left-handed cast. It's in the right area, it's just whether or not the fish is going to take. I'm really unsure now whether to pull it back or... Oh, bugger it, I lost it again. Oh. I'm really pleased with this Hardy Wraith 5-weight rod. It is an absolute casting dream. No effort whatsoever. My arm feels just as fresh as I was when I started. And I've been fishing a lot today. I put 2 hours in this morning off Peninsula Road End, and then another hour or so off the point of the peninsula. Never saw a fish. I'd really given up. I just came down here because I thought, the wind's nice. It's a nice evening to go down and have an hour at Old Hall, not catching anything, and then to catch a fish on the first cast was totally unexpected. That was a fish move. I thought that was a fish following. I was watching the wake of that fly and I thought that's a fish, and it was. Oh, it's one of those nights. It's going to be one of those really frustrating nights. I saw the wake, the bow wave just coming along, but it was very subtle. So I wasn't sure if it was the wake of the fly or whether it was it genuinely was a fish, but it was a fish. Oh, that fish is at my fly. Oh, I didn't take again. Well, thanks for coming fly fishing on Rutland Water with me again. The fish are now back in the margins. It's my first evening session fishing for the the fry feeders, and usually we got the fish before I started filming at the early part of the evening, not the end of the evening like they're supposed to. So if you like this video, please make sure you hit the like button, and I would be delighted if you would subscribe to the channel to see more of my fishy adventures. Thanks for watching.